CA Cupid is one of the only characters we can confirm has attended both Ever After High and Monster High. Despite this, there are still many things that remain secretive about CA Cupid. As the adopted daughter of Eros, there are many questions. Is she a demigoddess? Is she a bone elemental? Is she a cherub? Why was she left on the steps of Eros' temple as a baby? Why did she attend Monster High, and then why did she transfer to Ever After High? What was her goal in transferring to Ever After High? Today we will be answering all of these questions. Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Ainsley of Fairy Tale Vibes. I love to look into Ever After High and Monster High lore. If you guys don't know, I made the Ever After High swapped at birth theory, and more recently the Ever After High Monster High parallels theory, and also even more recently I made a complete Ever After High guidebook, so you guys are in good hands, and today you will be getting the complete lore and timeline of CA Cupid. How this video is going to work is I am going to basically give you her lore in the order of the timeline from the time she starts at Monster High till the end of Ever After High. And then at the end of the video, we will be doing some theorizing about some of the unanswered questions about CA Cupid, such as what type of being is she, where did she come from, things like that. We will be kind of looking into those theories at the end of this video, but first I'm going to be giving you guys the straight hard facts about Cupid. Now I'm going to kind of explain how this timeline of the lore is going to work. We are basically going to start, like I said, when she enters at Monster High, but I do want to clarify she spends 1 full year at Monster High, and then the second year that we know of CA Cupid is her time at Ever After High. So we are basically going to be covering 2 years of her life from the time she started at Monster High, and then from the second year that we know of her, which is the year she spent at Ever After High. I will also be giving links to my resources that I referenced down below in the description. I have not quite figured out how I'm going to organize them, but I'll either link like a Google Doc or maybe just put everything in the description, or maybe link you guys to like a Tumblr post that I make or something. We will see. I also do want to give a special thanks to Athena XOX on Tumblr once again. She did help me find some of these things. Okay, so starting off, the first thing that we kind of have in CA Cupid's timeline is her original Monster High diary that came with the original Monster High CA Cupid doll. This diary starts on August 10th, which is before the school year at Monster High starts. And in this diary entry, basically her father is telling her that she's going to be attending Monster High, but a few things are established that I want to point out. First of all, she has a mother and other siblings. We don't know how many other siblings, but she has several other siblings. We also know that she does not have good aim. She is not good at shooting her bow and arrow. So when her dad decides to send her off to Monster High, he makes sure to give her a bow with kind of like a laser sighting device. Despite this, we still see she's not very good at shooting it. In this diary entry, we also find out that her full name is Characlo Argathon Cupid, so that's what the CA stands for. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. It also seems like when she goes to meet with her father, she kind of thinks that she may be given an assignment, and it seems like her assignment is kind of to go to Monster High. And I just want to share like a mini theory about this here because it's going to help when we talk about Cupid later on in the timeline. But I have a theory that kind of like Cupid and her siblings and maybe some of the other people that kind of work for Eros, like they kind of act as Cupids. Like Eros gives them bows and arrows and tells them, okay, this is your assignment, go off to this place in the world and you're going to help people find love. Because when he sends her to Monster High, he says, I am sending you to Monster High because it is a place in need of your skills and also a place where flaws are not looked upon as obstacles to success. So obviously he's sending there to kind of like help people find love, because that's kind of like the purpose of what Cupid is doing. But also I think it's interesting that he says he's sending her to Monster High because of her flaws, and this makes me wonder if the flaws he's addressing are her aim, like her aim with her bow and arrow, or if he's addressing her flaws in terms of her being a monster. Because like we know, she's adopted, and I am assuming her other siblings may have like a more cherub-like appearance, but Cupid's natural appearance, and we'll get to why I think this is her natural appearance later, is her Monster High appearance where she has like bony skin. To me, it seems like she is naturally a monster. So part of me wonders if that is actually the reason Eros sent her to Monster High, because she would fit in more there and have a good high school experience. Also, in terms of like what Cupid is, I do want to point out that Eros does say, "My first thought was that you had been dropped off at the wrong temple. You were neither human nor Olympian, and I was quite at a loss to know what to do with you, but you were bright-eyed and calm that something told me you had a place here." So basically, when she was dropped off at Eros's temple, Eros didn't even know what he was, but he was like, okay, this girl's nice, I'll keep her here. So from the beginning, we are not exactly sure what Cupid is, but it's established she is not human and she is not Olympian. So it seems like most likely she is a monster. Okay, then moving on, just breezing through some things that happen in Cupid's diary. Basically, when she goes to Monster High, it's established that she is a big deal, I'm assuming because she's the daughter of, the Eros. So Headmistress Bloodgood wants her to remain invisible. So at first, nobody can see her, and I guess this could also be an explanation for why, early on in the Monster High webisodes, we don't see her at the school, because she's invisible. But still, as an invisible person, she's starting to help people, and how she has learned how to help people with their, romance is by shooting them with arrows and trying to get good matches and make people fall in love. So this is really funny. So her first match that she attempts to make is Claude and Cleo. For whatever reason, she thinks they'd be good together. I think it had something to do with Claude being the leader of the basketball team and Cleo being the leader of the fear leaders. So she tries to match them. She shoots them with the arrows, and for a while they're in love, but then pretty soon it's very clear that they're not a good fit, and Cleo ends up breaking up with Claude to go with Deuce, but then Claude's still kind of heartbroken because he's still being affected by the arrow, and it's a whole mess. So then Bloodgood decides to let Cupid start her radio show so she can help people with their love life without actually having to shoot them with arrows, and that works out much better for her. Her radio show gets much more popular. And then I want to point out another very important diary entry, and this diary entry is from January 10th. And I also want you guys to remember, in the timeline, the first time that we actually see CA Cupid is in Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love, the special, where she kind of gets revealed. And it's not clear if a lot of the other ghouls have seen her before Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love, because she almost kind of gets her face reveal in Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love, which again, this is still before that, because Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love takes place around Dracula's birthday / Valentine's Day, which is on February 14th. But this is on January 10th. So I'll just read you this diary entry because it's very interesting. So Ghoulia has been helping me track down what kind of monster I am. She thinks I may be a rare bone elemental. She said that bone elementals are found in the loneliest parts of the catacombs and were created to be nannies for newly hatched dragons, because mother dragons hibernate after they lay their eggs and don't come out of hibernation until after the eggs hatch. If I am really a bone elemental, then why was I dropped up at my father's temple? So yeah, again, this is very interesting. And from this diary entry, I do really believe that Cupid is a bone elemental, not just because Ghoulia is very smart, but because Cupid does look like a bone elemental. If you don't know what elementals are, they're from Greek mythology. You could kind of see elementals as kind of the equivalents to fairy or fae, but from Greek mythology, they kind of represent different elements, and bone elementals apparently are rare. But I do think Cupid looks like a bone elemental. And Ghoulia also thinks that, and Ghoulia is smart. So I believe Ghoulia. So then moving on, the last diary entry that we have is from February 10th, but it's not really that important. So then the next thing we get is kind of Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love in the timeline. And in that timeline, if you haven't seen Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love, this is a little spoiler. But we kind of see Cupid's bad aim in action. It kind of wasn't her fault. She did get hit by somebody, but she accidentally shoots both her and Claude with her arrows and they fall in love. In this movie, also at the end, I guess it's not a movie, it's more a special, but at the end of the special, to kind of break the love spell, because also more people end up getting shot with Cupid's arrows, the ghouls break Cupid's bow, because it's established that the bow holds the magic. So the bow is broken and everybody no longer is under the love spell, even though it's also kind of previously established from Cupid's diary that over time, when she hit Cleo and Claude, the love spell can also wear off with time. But also this does kind of explain why when she goes to Ever After High, she has a new bow. But then the next thing that we kind of have is an interview with Cupid. So this interview didn't take place in the show. For whatever reason, in 2012, 2013, Monster High did interviews with their characters on their Tumblr, I guess, just to promote the brand, give a little more context about the characters. So Cupid's interview is called 6 Burning Questions with Cupid, and I just want to address two of the questions because a lot of the interview is just kind of fluff, but I think there's two questions that really dive into the lore. So the first question is, how do angels really get their wings? And then Cupid says, much like mine, they are totally standard equipment. So remember how earlier I said that I thought, Cupid and her siblings or the other people who like work for Eros, I think they get like different assignments, and then Eros sends them off with like bows and arrows. But what if, because she says the wings are standard equipment, what if the wings are also equipment? So they're kind of like a marker of somebody being like a Cupid, and perhaps when they get their bows and arrows, they also get the wings. So that's just kind of my theory, because she says they're equipment. I don't think they're natural. It's also, a little bit supported by the doll, the fact that the wings come on and off. And also, as we know in Ever After High, Cupid does have multiple like sets of wings. Like her wings look different in each outfit she wears. She has one pair of wings for Throne Coming, she has another pair of wings for like her Heartstruck outfit, and then she just kind of has these standard wings that she wears. Of course, these are also different from her Monster High wings, but let's just say her whole appearance here is just generally different than her Monster High appearance, so we'll get to why that is in general. But I do think that the wings are equipment. Now the question is, are they just decorative, or can she actually fly? In Monster High, she never flies, but we will address the flying thing further when we get to Ever After High. The next question that I really want to address here is they ask her, are you a god or a monster? She says, LOL, I'm a monster, of course, a type of elemental, although I'm not exactly sure what kind. The reason I don't know is because I was left on the doorstep of my dad's temple when I was just a baby. He adopted and raised me, taught my family business, so here I am. So this establishes a few things. First of all, she is not like a god. She is definitely a monster, definitely some type of elemental. I kind of believe, like 100%, I think she's a bone elemental because she just looks like a bone elemental. It also establishes, again, that she doesn't know why she was left on this doorstep of Eros' temple. And I think that's very interesting because by this point now it's been brought up multiple times. And I think, they kind of want us to be thinking about this. I bring this up with my other theories a lot of times. I think when there's like random small details like this and they keep bringing it up, I almost wonder if it's leading to something. And since, Ever After High and Monster High G1 were kind of left unfinished, it has me wondering if sometimes there were things that were meant to be revealed, such as where Cupid came from, that weren't able to be revealed. So I'm going to come back to this later in the theory section. And again, the other thing kind of establishes something I already assumed, which is that she's a part of her dad's family business. So continuing. The next piece of evidence I want to look at is Cupid's radio show. This was originally posted to the Monster High website, but I'm actually looking at it on the Monster High wiki because it doesn't exist on the Monster High website anymore, let's just say that. But Cupid's radio show just basically consisted of a few different entries of Cupid interviewing different characters, and I'm not sure originally if it was like an audio thing you could hear, but I just have the transcript here from the Monster High wiki, so I just want to point out a few things. So basically it's all just standard radio show, Cupid doing her thing, giving people love advice, and then we get to like, I think it's her second to last entry on April 15th, and it's established here that Cupid, as of April 15th, is on spring break and has gone home to Mount Olympus. Now, this is going to be important later. So Abby and Draculaura are, guest starring, hosting the radio show while she's gone. Then the next episode, she is back from Mount Olympus. But while she was home at Mount Olympus, she says that her dad told her next year she is going to a new school in a place where, people are trying to figure out if they're royal or rebel. So in this episode, she is actually talking to both Cleo and Frankie. But one thing I want to point out is important about this episode is that she does not know yet that she's going to Ever After High, and she does not tell Cleo or Frankie that she's going to Ever After High. And the reason I want to point this out is because I think it's important that we know in the Lost movie, the ghouls from Monster High do not know what Ever After High is. So I want to point out that I think it's important that Cupid did not tell them she was going to Ever After High. The ghouls still have no idea what Ever After High is, and I think this may have also been intentional on Eros's part, and we'll cover this when we get to Cupid's Ever After High diary, which is next. But it seems like Eros didn't tell her that she was going to Ever After High yet, and I think partially because he wanted to keep that confidential, because maybe it would break some interdimensional rules to have Cupid telling people at Monster High that she was going to Ever After High. But one thing she does say is that she knows that there's a village of Bookend, and she's like, it has excellent shopping. But yeah, so she's basically just telling the ghouls about her new adventure, and that was on and this final radio show of Cupid's was on April 23rd. And I'm assuming then she has no more after this because it's the end of the school year, and then the next school year she's going to transfer to Ever After High. So now we are going to get to the next thing in the timeline, which is Cupid's Ever After High diary, which this Ever After High diary has a lot of lore. I forget how much lore the diaries have. Like, the Monster High diary also had so much lore. So I'm clicking the link to open up the diary so I can reference it. I think it's very important to point out Cupid, from the beginning of her diary, literally the first line of her diary is, I am not a fairy tale. So if you were wondering if Cupid has a fairy tale destiny, she does not. She is a myth. She says, I'm not a fairy tale, I'm a myth. It's my purpose to help people find love. So why do I go to Ever After High, where stories are pre-written? Like my wise Aunt Athena always says, with patience, unclear answers eventually reveal themselves. So she doesn't know exactly why she's going to Ever After High, but she knows it has something to do with kind of helping people figure out if they're royal or rebel. And also I just want to point out, like, here she mentions her Aunt Athena. After this, in this diary and some of her other diaries that come with her other Ever After High dolls, she does mention her, like, Greek family a lot. Like, she mentions Athena, Aphrodite, Hermes, probably some other people too that I'm forgetting. But basically, it's established in this diary, again, it mentions the spring break. It mentions how she went home for spring break and her father was like, yeah, next year you're going to a different school because you're going to have a new purpose. So that also kind of confirms the idea that her going to Monster High and also going to Ever After High are assignments from her dad, because those are schools where people need help finding love. But she's kind of sad. She doesn't want to go to Ever After High, even though she doesn't know it's Ever After High. But at first she's like, no, I want to stay at Monster High. Because obviously she already made a ton of friends at Monster High. So of course she wants to stay there. But then I think it's also interesting because they mention the Monster High attic. So after talking about spring break, it mentions Cupid going back to Monster High to tell her friends. And then after she tells her friends that they're leaving, they throw her a goodbye party in the attic. If you don't know about the Monster High attic, this attic is from 13 Wishes, and it has a ton of Easter eggs to Monster High. In 13 Wishes, we see that the Evil Queen's mirror, the apple, and also like a Mad Hatter's hat are in this attic. And this in 13 Wishes was actually supposed to be an Easter egg for the crossover later on, because if you've seen the clips from the Lost movie, like the Lost movie crossover, the storyboard clips that we do have from the Lost movie, which was supposed to be the Ever After High Monster High crossover, this attic is featured in the Lost movie, let's just say that. But I want to point out that Cupid sees these three objects, the objects from Ever After High that I just mentioned, in the Monster High attic. So it mentions an alarm gong at the top of the hat flipped open, revealing a steaming cup of tea. So she sees the Mad Hatter's hat, and it flips open, and it reveals a cup of tea. And then she sees an apple in a glass case, and then she sees a mirror. And she says she feels like somebody's watching her through the mirror. Evil Queen much. So let me tell you, that's kind of like a little Easter egg, I guess, for her that she's going to Ever After High. But the other thing that happens when she's in this attic, which also I want to preface in 13 Wishes, this attic is also where they find the book that talks about Gigi. And at the beginning of this video, you may have noticed that I said that Cupid is the only character we know for sure has gone to both Ever After High and Monster High. And that's because I'm like 99% sure Gigi, the genie, went to Ever After High before she went to Monster High, because when we see her talked about in the flashback in 13 Wishes, we see Giles Grimm. And also when Claudine is reading about how Giles Grimm kind of helped Wisp, she's reading from a storybook. So I just want to say there's other storybook paraphernalia in this attic, which is gonna be important in a second, because when she's in this attic, she also trips over a pile of books, and one of the books accidentally opens up, and guess who she sees? She sees a picture of Dexter Charming. So guys, I bet you did not know that Cupid's obsession with Dexter didn't start when she transferred to Ever After High. No, it started literally when she was still at Monster High. So it's like some sort of a book, and it's supposed to be like a Charming family album, which why is that in the attic of Monster High? I don't know, some sort of weird magical connection, but it's a picture of Dexter Charming, and she is head over heels in love. So then the next chapter is when she goes home for summer break. Her dad finally tells her that she's going to Ever After High, and she's like, ooh, I'm so excited, I'm gonna see all these princesses, and then she's like, oh my gosh, the Charmings are there. And then she gets excited, you know, about maybe, you know, that guy's gonna be there. And then, you know, later on in the diary, we see that she does go to Ever After High, but it's interesting because her dad says you need to wait for the right time. So similarly to like how she was invisible at the beginning of Monster High, like in that school year, like she didn't show up right away. Similarly, she doesn't show up right away. But she's not even invisible, she just doesn't transfer like right at the beginning of the school year. They wait till like the Legacy Day rehearsal day, so like right before Legacy Day, for Cupid to appear in Ever After High. And then when she comes, Headmaster Grimm meets her. So somebody, maybe Eros, I don't know what, this is what I'm wondering, like, what did Eros tell Headmaster Grimm? Because it's Milton Grimm. Milton Grimm meets Cupid, and he's like, choice is dangerous to destiny. You must help guide the students back to their order. Do you understand? And Cupid's like, yeah. But it's kind of interesting because it's like clearly Eros's goal was just, Cupid, go help these people figure out their life, like figure out their love, like figure out everything. Clearly it's a hot mess. And then Headmaster Grimm's like, you're gonna make sure everybody follows their destiny. And Cupid's like, yeah, but clearly that was not her goal, and that was also clearly not Eros's goal in sending her there, which I think is very, very interesting. And I want to know how Eros also has the power of interdimensional travel, because I also want to mention this kind of takes place concurrently to the episode from Ever After High, which is called Here Comes Cupid, which is where we literally see Cupid going from her Monster High self to Ever After High, because in this clip, she starts off in Eros's temple and she is in her Monster High garb. And then once she steps through this mirror portal to Ever After High, she looks like this. And I have a mini theory about this that I just want to share here. I could say it at the end, but it makes more sense just to say it here in the timeline so that you guys aren't wondering. I think the bony version of Cupid, that's her true self. Like the bone elemental version is her true self. I think that when she walked through the mirror, some sort of like magical glamour was put over her to make her look human. I do not think she is human. I think this is a disguise. I think the bone elemental version is her true self, because if you guys haven't read The Legend of Shadow High, in that book, it's established that like the Ever After High characters are freaked out by monsters. They don't know what monsters are. So if she fully walked that portal as a bone elemental, people would be like, what the heck are you? And even though I think some of them kind of know what Eros is, like they kind of know a little bit where she came from, like they know that she's like from the realm of the Greek gods. They don't quite know what that means, but they kind of know that. They don't know about Monster High. So if she walked through as a bone elemental, they'd be like, girl, what the heck, who are you? Like, I think this can easily be explained, like, oh, she's just one of Cupid's kids, or not Cupid's kids, she's just one of Eros's kids. Like, that can easily be explained, but I think this is a disguise, and she did not originally look like that. So I just want to establish that, like, that's what I think happens when she walks through the portal. Which, again, also, how does Eros have that power? I don't know. So moving on. Again, like I said, she does have other diaries. Like, she has a diary that comes with her Throne Coming doll. She has a diary that comes with her Heartstruck doll. These diaries don't really say that much. They just, like, the only thing that I really need to mention is that they, again, talk about, like, the other Greek gods. Like, they're her family. Like, they're her aunts and her cousins and stuff. The next thing I want to mention is True Hearts Day. Basically, in True Hearts Day, it's just, like, established that she likes Dexter. But I think it's very important to say that even though she likes Dexter, she does understand, like, she doesn't want to interfere with his free will. Like, she could interfere, she could shoot him with an arrow, she could make him love her, but she instead just is honest, and she helps him with his relationship with Raven. She tries to, like, help him ask out Raven, even though in True Hearts Day it does kind of fail. But the point is that she was still honest, and she still helped, and she was slay. It also is established here that in Ever After High, she is continuing her like podcast, but in Ever After High, I guess in Monster High they called it a radio show, and in Ever After High they call it her Mirrorcast. But also, I don't think the Mirrorcast is interdimensional, because again, Monster High peeps don't know what Ever After High is. So it's only the people in Ever After High who are watching her Mirrorcast. Like, it's not the people in Monster High. And then in Heartstruck, I'm not going to cover every single webisode Cupid was in. There was also, like, one other Monster High webisode that Cupid was in that I didn't mention, but it was just, like, a webisode where, like, her and Abby fought over whether spring or winter was better. So I guess this is staying consistent about Cupid's character. She really likes spring, because in Heartstruck it's established that she really likes spring. Also, in this episode, at the beginning of the episode, the male narrator says Cupid is a cherub. Do I think Cupid is a cherub? No, I still think she's a bone elemental. I think, again, the other people in Ever After High do not know she's a bone elemental, and I think they probably just assume that she's a cherub. And that was also what I was saying about, like, Eros having a lot of kids, and they kind of do Cupid tasks. I think maybe, like Eros's, like, natural children who aren't adopted, I think maybe they, like, more present as cherubs. And I think maybe, like, this disguise made Cupid look like a cherub. But then also, in this episode, her bow is stolen again. We're having a repeat of Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love? Actually, it wasn't like stolen maliciously. Hunter accidentally took it and was trying to shoot a target, but the love arrows, these love arrows over here, they cannot hit targets. They can only hit human hearts, or not human hearts, just like people hearts and people in Ever After High. Not everybody's human in Ever After High. So then basically all the arrows that Hunter tried to shoot at the target flew all the way around to Ever After High and struck a bunch of different people, and people end up just like falling in love with random people, and it's crazy. And it's really weird in this episode because in the previous Monster High like special, it was established that you could break the love spell by breaking the bow, but here Cupid actually instead gives them these mood roses, which this is the part where they say Cupid's a cherub, because they say only cherubs like Cupid can grow mood roses, but she gives people these mood roses, and it kind of breaks the love spell by revealing to them what type of love they actually feel for the other person. So for some people it is revealed that, oh, they do actually love that person, but then some people it's revealed, oh, you just love them like a friend, you know? So the mood roses kind of clear everything up. And I also wonder if maybe the reason she didn't smash her bow here is because maybe the bows are precious, and you know, it was kind of an emergency in Monster High. They had to smash her bow. Also, Cupid was not the one who made the decision to smash her bow in Monster High. Maybe if it was her, she would have figured out a different solution. But maybe these bows are like pretty pricey, like they're pretty valuable magical items. So maybe it's just like more effective to do the mood roses rather than having to get a whole new bow if like Cupid knows the mood roses work. Then the other thing I want to mention, which I don't know actually where this is in the timeline, but I just want to mention it here, is that Cupid's featured in the Ever After High books by Suzanne Selfers called Fairy's Got Talent. And this is the book that everybody references when they're like, Cupid can fly. Because in the book, she's like competing for this role of a fairy, like in a play. And it's established that she can fly because it's very clear in the book, you have to be a flying being to be able to do the fairy role, because the fairy role in the play has to fly. So Cupid can fly, and it's mentioned like multiple times in the book that she can fly. Do I think Cupid can fly? I don't know. We never see her fly in Ever After High or Monster High until this book. So I do think maybe just like the author didn't realize that in the other sources she never flies. But here's the point where I'm going to say, if you really want to believe the Suzanne Selfers book that she can fly, believe that. It doesn't really break any of the other canon too much to believe that she could fly, but maybe we just never saw it on screen before, sure. The other thing that's weird in this book that I just want to address is this book is written from Fabelle's point of view, Fairy's Got Talent, and Fabelle repeatedly refers to Cupid as a demigod. The thing I want to remind you guys here is they do not know Cupid is a bone elemental. They do not know she really looks like this. This is what they see. So I don't think that's saying that Cupid is actually a demigod, or that somehow when Cupid went through the portal she turned into a demigod. No, I think she's still bone elemental. I think it's just a disguise. I think if we would have actually gotten the Ever After High Monster High crossover, which again, Cupid was not, to my knowledge, she was not really supposed to be featured in the Lost movie. She's not featured in the crossover book. We did get The Legend of Shadow High, but also the crossover book we did get The Legend of Shadow High is with G2 Monster High, which Cupid is from G1, not G2. So it kind of makes sense that we don't see her in the book. But however, I do think if Ever After High and Monster High would have actually properly done the Lost movie, I don't know if Cupid would have been featured in the Lost movie, maybe at the end, but I definitely think after the Lost movie, they would have used that to establish the fact that Cupid was originally from Monster High, and now that the Ever After High girls know about Monster High, she would like finally reveal her backstory, why she came there, and reveal the fact that she is a bone elemental. But sadly, that was canceled, so we never got that explanation. Now a few little theories. So first of all, some of you just wanted to know a few more parallels. Some of you really liked my parallels theory, so I do want to give you a few more parallels. The first parallel I want to give you from my research that I've done on Cupid is Claude and Dexter. I just want to give you guys this parallel because in my previous parallels theory, I established that Raven and Draculaura are parallels, and obviously Dexter and Claude are their lovers, so I think they're parallels. Not only that, but you could say that Cupid kind of at one point in time fell in love with both Claude and Dexter. I know in Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love, she was kind of under the influence of the arrow, but she did fall in love with both, Claude and Dexter. The next parallel that I want to give you is just Blondie and Spectra. I think this is a parallel because I think it's very interesting because at Monster High, it's established, like, Cupid has her radio show, and that's specifically for love advice, but, you know, Spectra kind of has her, like, news blog / gossip blog, and similarly, Blondie also has her mirror cast at Ever After High, which is also kind of, like, news / gossip. So I do think Spectra and Blondie are parallels, but now actually to get into the more important theories. So this one just basically states that Cupid is a bone elemental, but people think she is a cherub in Ever After High. I kind of already said this, but I just want to establish, I do, like, 100% think, in my opinion, Cupid is a bone elemental. This is how she was left on the steps of Eros' temple. I think the reason that Eros originally sent Cupid to Monster High is because I think she's a bone elemental, so she fit in more with the Monster High girls. And then once she got comfortable at Monster High, it kind of probably came to Eros' attention that Ever After High was actually in more need of kind of, like, the service of helping people, like, kind of figure out their true heart's desire, because Cupid going to Ever After High is not just about, like, helping people fall in love. It's also just about people figuring out their true heart's desire. Do they want to follow their destiny? Do they have another path they'd rather follow? So I think after Cupid, you know, kind of got adjusted at Monster High, a place where she was really comfortable, she could be her monster self, then Cupid's like, okay, I'm going to give you a more serious mission now. You're going to go over to this other school, but I'm going to have to put a disguise on you because they can't know you're a bone elemental, and you're going to actually do a real mission here. Because what was she really doing at Monster High? Sure, she was helping people fall in love, but, like, was it that serious? Was it in that dire need? No. But Ever After High was kind of in dire need with their royal versus rebel situation, I guess. This is the one theory that is kind of insane. We always have a little insane theory at the end. Not always. I just mean, like, I feel like all my videos have a little insane theory in them. Okay, so I said I was going to come back to this. Remember how in Cupid's original Monster High diary, Ghoulia told her that she was a bone elemental, but not only that, Ghoulia said that traditionally bone elementals are nannies for dragon eggs and they live in catacombs. Where are their dragon eggs? Ever After. We never really see dragon eggs mentioned in Monster High, and I'm assuming there are no dragon eggs in the realm of the Greek gods. So that makes me think that maybe Cupid is actually originally from the realm of Ever After. On top of that, where would there be catacombs in the realm of Ever After? I don't know, probably the Evil Queen's castle. It's like the Evil Queen, if you don't know this, it's established in the books. She has a very big castle with a lot of evil stuff. If there's catacombs anywhere, it's definitely that place. Also, I know before I said that there's not really monsters in Ever After. Like, people at Ever After High would be pretty shocked to see a monster. However, the one place in Ever After where there would be monsters is the Evil Queen's castle because they work for her as servants. Also, like I said before, I think it's very suspicious how it's like, it keeps coming up that somebody left Cupid at Eros' temple. Like, who would do that? Well, here's the thing. If Cupid came from Ever After, it would almost be impossible for somebody to travel between dimensions. Like, the one person who we really see, like, transporting somebody between dimensions is Eros when he transports Cupid, you know, from Monster High to Mount Olympus, from Mount Olympus to Ever After High. Who is the one other person that we know can travel between dimensions? The Evil Queen. In both versions of the crossover, whether it's the Lost movie or the Legend of Shadow High, the Evil Queen is able to transport herself to Monster High. So I would not put it past her to, like, for whatever reason, leave Cupid on the steps of Eros' temple, because she was the only one who could physically transport herself between dimensions to do this. Now, why would she do this? I don't know, this is just a silly theory, but, like, let's say she had some bone elemental servants who were supposed to be watching the dragon eggs, and let's say they failed at their job, and maybe that's why there's not that many dragons currently in Ever After before, like, the new dragons hatch in dragon games. But yeah, maybe let's just say to get revenge on these bone elemental servants, she decides, you know what, I'm gonna take your daughter to a different realm. And then she leaves her on the steps of Eros' temple. Why Eros' temple? I don't know, maybe since Cupid was, like, a bone elemental, the Evil Queen's very vain. Maybe she's like, oh, this baby's ugly, so I'm gonna leave it on the steps of the temple of the god of love. Like, maybe she thought it was really funny. I don't know. That's just a theory. But however, I do think it would be really funny if, let's say, the Lost movie did happen. What if, like, at the end of the Lost movie, like, Cupid comes through the portal or something, like, she somehow gets to Monster High where all the Ever After High people are and all the Monster High people are, and she's like, oh my gosh, I know both you guys, and they're like, oh my gosh, Cupid, this is where you went before, and they all start freaking out and have their reunion. But let's, like, say the Evil Queen's there, and the Evil Queen's like, oh my gosh, I left you at Eros' temple, and then they get, like, a standoff. That would be so funny. Like, I don't think that would happen, but imagine, like, Cupid confronting the Evil Queen. Like, that would be so funny if we got that reveal. So I don't know, maybe if Ever After High and Monster High continued, maybe if we did get the Lost movie, maybe we would have gotten that reveal. Maybe we would have gotten that reveal at some point after the Lost movie. Again, just for you guys who don't know, like, we have access to the first half of the Lost movie. Like, we can watch the storyboards on YouTube for the first half of the Lost movie, but for the second half, we have no idea what happened. So maybe that could happen at the end of the Lost movie, but we will never know. Maybe unless I somehow bribe the writers to tell me. I also just want to cut in here and say that if the theory about the evil queen bringing Cupid from the realm of ever after to the realm of the Greek gods is true, then perhaps that could actually be an explanation for why Eros sent Cupid to ever after. Perhaps maybe he thought she would, like, be able to maybe, you know, find her birth family in ever after. Like, maybe originally when Eros, like, saw that Cupid was some sort of monster, he's like, you know what, I'll send her to Monster High. Maybe she'll, like, fit in there because there's other monsters. And then maybe Cupid either told Eros about Giulia's research that she was a bone elemental and that bone elementals, you know, live in catacombs and watch dragon eggs. Or maybe Eros just did more research himself and he was like, hold on, wait, there's dragon eggs in Ever After. Maybe I'll send her to Ever After High. Maybe there's more bone elementals there. Maybe she'll find her people. So maybe that is also part of the reason why Eros decided to transfer her to Ever After. And I don't know, maybe he's just being secretive about it because he doesn't want to get her hopes up. But maybe Eros does think there is a chance that by going to Ever After, you know, Cupid could maybe discover her birth parents or just find more people that are like her. But similarly to, you know, how Cupid kind of tries to help people find their true destiny, their true love, their true path, maybe Eros was kind of trying to do that for her and kind of figure out, like, okay, she's like a little teenager, where's a good place that she could fit in? Maybe he tried Monster High and he's like, you know, let's also try Ever After High, because actually maybe she's originally from there if bone elementals are meant to watch dragon eggs. That's just another little theory that I wanted to add on, but yeah. Thank you for coming to my Cupid video. I hope that you learned a lot about this beautiful girl here, about how she's actually a bone elemental, and in fact, this is a human slash cherub slash demigoddess design, like, whatever. But yeah, or disguise. I said design. I said disguise. It's a disguise and a design. She is gorgeous. I did my makeup inspired by her, clearly. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Let me know if you want more Ever After High / Monster High content. I will say the next videos I have planned are my Ever After High retelling. This Cupid thing actually kind of started off as part of the Ever After High retelling because I was like, I want to retell Cupid's story. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that needs to be its own video. So I will be retelling Ever After High from start to end, and then once I get to the end, I'm going to figure out how Ever After High was supposed to end, like trying to figure out how the Lost movie ended, trying to figure out how they were going to conclude Ever After High after the Lost movie. So bear with me, that will be coming. I need to, like, read all the Ever After High books again, and probably watch the show too. But yeah, thank you for doing that. Thank you for being here. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, guys. It really helps. Like, comment down below if you stay to the end of the video. What is your favorite Cupid design? Let me know. Are you shocked by the theory? Do you think the evil queen actually brought Cupid to Eros' temple? Or is that a crazy theory? Also, tell me, why in all my theories does it somehow have to do with the evil queen swapping people at birth? Like, when I came up with this theory this morning, I was like, no, it can't be the evil queen again. Like, why is it always the evil queen doing something with children? Yeah. What if actually Apple, Raven, and Cupid were all swapped at birth? Imagine. Wow. But yeah, thank you. Make sure to check out my link tree. I'll have everything linked below. Also, if you don't know, I started the Ever After High fan club, the Storybook Society. I'll link that below too. Check it out. Bye, guys.